It all started on a quiet afternoon, when the solemn silence around the tomb was broken by the loud laughter of a group of boys. They weren't there to pay respect or to learn history, they came looking for trouble. Among them was a known bully, the kind of kid who thrived on mocking others, always searching for someone weaker to pick on. But that day, he picked the wrong person. Standing tall in front of the tomb was a guard. Calm, composed, and focused on his duty. His posture alone demanded respect, but to the bully was just another chance to test boundaries. The group whispered and laughed, daring the bully to step forward. Fueled by pride and ego, he moved closer, throwing insults and trying to provoke a reaction. The guard, trained to remain still, showed no emotion, no response, his discipline unshaken. But the silence only made the bully more reckless. He wanted attention. He wanted to prove he could break the unbreakable. Then, in a sudden burst of arrogance, he did the unthinkable. He raised his hand and struck the guard. The moment felt frozen. Gasps erupted from the crowd, but the guard's eyes never wavered. What happened next shocked everyone who witnessed it. In less than a heartbeat, the bully realized discipline is not weakness, and respect is earned, not demanded. And just seconds later, the entire crowd saw something they would never forget. The crowd that had gathered around the tomb stood in stunned silence. Nobody could believe what they had just seen, and yet everyone knew something bigger was about to unfold. The guard didn't flinch when the blow landed. His face remained firm, his eyes locked straight ahead, as if centuries of tradition were flowing through him. People whispered among themselves, some pulling out their phones to record, while others simply stared, frozen in disbelief. What many in the crowd didn't know was that tomb guards weren't ordinary men. They were carefully chosen, trained with discipline and honor that stretched far beyond simple duty. They carried the weight of history on their shoulders, standing watch not for recognition but out of deep respect. To break their silence, to interrupt their vigil, was to cross an invisible line that demanded consequences. The bully, however, wasn't thinking about any of that. He smirked, enjoying the gasps of the crowd, believing he had just proven himself bold. His friends cheered him on, but their voices sounded more nervous now, unsure if they had pushed too far. The guard's stillness only made the air feel heavier, like the calm before a storm. Even the tourists, who moments earlier had been snapping casual photos, now stood wide-eyed, waiting for what would happen next. The bully shifted his stance, pretending to be fearless, but there was a flicker of doubt in his eyes. Everyone could sense it. The tension was building, and something powerful was about to happen. The air around the tomb grew thick, almost heavy, as if everyone was holding their breath at once. The guard's silence seemed louder than any shout, and it began to unsettle even those who weren't directly involved. Parents pulled their children closer, whispering warnings about respect and discipline, while the bully's friends shifted uneasily. Some of them laughed nervously, trying to play it off, but their voices cracked under the weight of the moment. For the guard, this wasn't just about an insult or a punch. It was about the sacred duty he had sworn to uphold. Generations of soldiers before him had stood in that exact place, guarding the tomb with pride and honor. To walk away, or react carelessly, would mean breaking a chain of history that was larger than any one person. Yet the line had been crossed, and the crowd could feel that some response was inevitable. Meanwhile, among the onlookers was an elderly veteran. He had served decades ago, and his eyes burned with recognition. He knew what the bully did, not that these guards trained not only to stand still, but to embody strength controlled by discipline. He clenched his fist, torn between stepping in and letting the moment play out. The bully, sensing the weight of so many eyes on him, tried to act tougher. He taunted again, louder this time, desperate to hide his growing fear. But beneath the smirk, his jaw tightened. Something was shifting, and everyone could see it. The silence before the storm was ending. The tension reached a point where every sound seemed sharper. The shuffle of feet on the stone ground, the click of a camera shutter, even the faint rustle of leaves nearby. The guard remained unmoving, his focus locked, his silence heavier than any words. It wasn't weakness, it was a warning. The crowd could feel it, even if the bully refused to see it. The bully's friends began to back away, their laughter fading into nervous whispers. They had cheered him on moments earlier, but now none of them wanted to be standing too close when things finally snapped. Still, the bully pressed forward, driven by pride more than courage. He circled the guard, mocking him, waving his arms in exaggerated gestures, daring him to break discipline. Each step he took only made the onlookers lean in closer, their anticipation growing. The veteran in the crowd muttered under his breath, his eyes narrowing. He knew the stillness was not just for show, was the calm of someone trained to react with precision when the time was right. A mother in the crowd whispered to her son about respect, telling him to watch closely, because he was about to witness something unforgettable. The bully, desperate for attention, suddenly shoved harder, testing the very boundary that had held strong for generations. The air seemed to freeze as his hand landed again. The crowd gasped, every eye locked on the guard. For the first time, there was a flicker of movement. Something was about to break. The flicker of movement from the guard sent a ripple through the crowd. But before anyone could process what was about to happen, another unexpected voice cut through the silence. From the back of the gathering, a stern command echoed, firm, authoritative, impossible to ignore. A second guard had stepped forward, breaking formation in a way few had ever witnessed. His eyes locked on the bully, not with anger, but with the kind of warning that carried centuries of discipline behind it. The crowd gasped again. This wasn't supposed to happen. Tomb guards never broke their stance, never shifted focus, unless something truly crossed the line. Now there were two, standing like immovable statues, yet radiating a quiet strength that unsettled everyone watching. The tension doubled, and whispers ran wild. Was this about to escalate beyond control? The bully's smirk faltered. For the first time, his bravado slipped, but his pride wouldn't let him step back. He clenched his fists, muttering to his friends as if daring them to back him up. But they stood frozen, unwilling to move closer. The energy in the air had shifted completely, and even they could feel the danger of pushing further. Meanwhile, the veteran's voice grew louder, warning the young bully that he was about to learn a lesson he would never forget. The tourists raised their cameras higher, sensing history unfolding before them. Every second dragged, heavier than the last. With two guards now watching, the stakes had never been higher, and everyone braced for the moment that was surely coming. The silence broke in an instant. As the bully shoved again, the first guard finally shifted. With a single, precise movement, he stepped forward, his posture changing from stillness to controlled action. The crowd gasped, their hearts pounding as the guard's discipline transformed into something undeniable. The bully stumbled back, caught off guard by the sudden authority radiating from the man he had mocked. His arrogance cracked, and for the first time, fear showed clearly on his face. The second guard stood firm just a step behind, his presence amplifying the moment. It wasn't violence that silenced the bully, it was the realization that he had no power here, no audience that admired him anymore. The laughter of his friends had vanished, replaced with nervous silence, and even the phones that once recorded for fun now captured the weight of a lesson unfolding. Then came the twist no one expected. The elderly veteran stepped forward, his voice carrying through the stunned crowd. He revealed that years ago, he too had been a guard at the tomb. He spoke of the same discipline, the same training, and reminded everyone that the role was not about strength alone, but about honor and sacrifice. The guards did not need to strike. Their very presence, their unwavering silence, was the answer. The bully, red-faced and shaken, lowered his head. The crowd erupted not with laughter, but with applause for the guard's unbroken composure. The true blow had landed, not with fists, but with respect reclaimed. The applause carried across the grounds, echoing like a reminder that respect can never be forced, team must be earned. The guards returned to their posts, their movements sharp and flawless, as though nothing had ever disturbed them. Their silence once again became the strongest message of all. The crowd slowly dispersed, but the weight of what they had seen lingered in every conversation, every whisper, every glance back at the tomb. The bully stood still, no longer surrounded by cheering friends. One by one, they slipped away, unwilling to share in the embarrassment. His smirk was gone, replaced by a humbled expression that even he couldn't hide. For the first time, he understood what his arrogance had cost him, not a fight, but his pride in front of an entire audience. The veteran placed a hand on the young man's shoulder before leaving. His words, simple but unforgettable: "Discipline isn't weakness, it's strength under control." That line seemed to echo louder than anything else that had been said that day. The boy didn't reply, but the message was